Well, today we are going to have a testimonial from one of our members about how unity principles have worked in her life. So at this time, if Carol Leyton would come forward, there she is. I thought I saw you back there. So let's welcome Carol. Hold it nice close to your mouth. There you go.
Reverend Terry, if you're watching, it's on? Is this on? Okay. Reverend Terry, if you're watching, I want to thank you. Closer? Third time's a charm. Okay. As I mentioned to someone earlier, this has been 13 years since I've held a mic in my hand, so you may have to be patient with me just a little bit. Okay. I'll try again, Reverend Terry. I wanted to say thank you for the opportunity for me to share how I am applying unity principles and practices to my life to have a higher consciousness and to Christ consciousness. I also want every person here to know, every one of you, I feel blessed that I am part of this community. I get emotional, as you can see, and I will, but I feel absolutely blessed for being part of this community where I'm learning and we're sharing together how to seek a higher consciousness in living. And last August was my first time ever that I came to a unity, well, I take that back. First time I came to Olympia. My brother introduced me to unity 40 years ago. And I thought, well, that's a good thing, but I was busy doing other things. So I can say I was 40 years in the desert, I might say. And I finally decided I'm going to do what my heart's desire says. So I tried unity for the first time last August to see if unity teachings and practices resonated with me. And I am so thankful that they did, because it's not only changed my view of the world, my perception on how I see things, but it's changed my life for the better. So I'm got to look at my notes. I brought notes just in case I knew I'd run out of forgetting. Oh, yes. Since August, I've had so many different experiences in self-discovery and in growing and connections, and it's just, things have come alive to me and I just feel blessed. But today I'm going to talk about something that shook me to my very core, and that is a value that I have valued for over 6 decades. And that is, when I give my word, I do almost anything to keep it. It's a good value until it becomes not a good value. And I found a quotation that I really liked, that I thought fit my circumstances that I'm sharing today, and that is, self-discovery can happen in spite of self-deception. Thought that fit. So, that was my core, but I want to talk first about 3 principles and practices that I've learned in unity. And the first one was from a spirit group that I joined the very second week I was here. I see a number of you nodding. We focused on Michael A. Singer's The Untethered Soul, and it's not a new book, but it was new to me. And in that, he showed how we create our own reality with specific examples, and how we create our walls that, first of all, is we put up for protection we think we need for ourselves, and then how that protection becomes a prison and eventually actually can become our source of suffering, that we actually are the cause of our own suffering. And I thought, well, I want that. I want to be observer of my thoughts and feelings and not a prisoner of them. But I wasn't sure how to do that. Michael A. Singer, in his book, in the last part of it, talks about meditation. Well, I didn't even know if I liked the word meditation at the time. I wasn't raised Unity, obviously. I was raised Methodist. And meditation wasn't part of what we did. We petitioned God to answer our prayers. Yeah. Much different. So I attended services listening very, very closely to what Reverend Terry was saying and teaching. Two in particular stand out. And one was about Jesus being our way shower. That his example of how he lived his life was our example. So I looked at that closely, and his life was a life of surrender. And I thought, wow, everything? Am I supposed to give up all even my core values? No, I'm not going to do that. But I was going along, it was wonderful. And I wasn't ready to do something like that, because after 6 decades of that, it was my identity. And it was my strength, one of my biggest strengths. So pride was extremely important in this thing too, I have to tell you. The other thing that Reverend Terry mentioned and actually focused on was meditation. And that was my first real experience in meditation. And I wanted to learn more. So in January, I'll take the two, meditation and surrendering. In January, Reverend Terry invited the community to choose a word. So I thought about it, and I decided my word was surrendering, ING, because I knew that it wasn't a one and done. It was every single day with every single thing. And the other was meditation and releasing when Susan McClure and Reverend Terry offered a class on meditation. I thought, I better sign up for that. Oh my. I learned so many different things in meditation. I can remember at one point telling Susan that it's the most relaxed I've ever been in my life. It was one of the grounding meditation. But one meditation and releasing in particular changed my life, and that was releasing, a letting go of anything that was causing me angst or a problem. My own upsetting of myself. And I'm so thankful for that, because that's where I learned to be the observer. To be the observer, watch those feelings, feel them, and let them go. Changed my life again. So thankful. Thank you, Susan, for that. And the third practice is, Reverend Terry told me to bring it to show people, is this book that I'm reading. It's not new to many of you, new to me. The title, Divine Audacity? What in the world? I thought it was strange. But the author is a reverend in the Unity movement, and it is Linda Martella Whitsett. And in here, she challenges the reader to have the audacity to not just think about, but to believe and apply the 12 powers to your life that are innate in us. And this is such an enlightening book for me, because she devotes a chapter to each power, and in it, she not only defines, explains, and gives examples, but she also, at the end of the chapter, gives us practice. For someone like me, I need that. And she gives us practice in affirmations, in meditation, in journal writing, to actually get to the core of what we believe and how we need to change that a little bit if we need to adjust. And even to the point of say, okay, choose a symbol for each one of these that you put in front of you so you can see that. And of course, what is she doing? She says we need practice to rewire our neurons. And we do. It's practice. And I thought, well, I'll have the audacity to believe that. I decided that I would take her message and apply it to my life. And again, the point was almost blissful. I can't tell you, it's just nothing short of blissful in what I was feeling and sharing and loving people. Until March 16th and 17th, the famous day in my life, in what changed me for a real surrendering. I had given my word to not just one group of people, but 3 for that weekend. It was a Saturday and Sunday. I had given my word to my Dinner for 6 group that I was going to be driving to the home where we would have our dinner. And I had promised Roseanne that I would help her with the pancake feed because I've had experience with big groups. And then, last but not least, I had promised Reverend Terry that I would share my experience. I had it all written out, I had everything ready to go, and I didn't, obviously, because of what happened. On Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it's pollen season, so I was really sneezing a lot, and I thought, oh, it's just allergies, I'm fine, I'll just take something, or learning to pray over it. Imagine that. and I thought, I'll be fine, so I didn't pay any attention. Saturday morning, I woke up, and I certainly did not have allergy symptoms anymore. And we've all been trained enough and indoctrinated, I guess, to know what COVID symptoms are. I thought, oh my word, I think I have COVID, even though it wasn't real serious. I've never had COVID before. And again, source of pride, well, I've never had COVID. Well, I can't say that anymore. And I even went to the urgent care to make sure that it really was that. And they confirmed, they said, and of course, you're contagious. Do not go intermix with anyone to have risk of giving them the virus. Do you know how the knot in the pit of your stomach starts? It just gets harder and harder. And there I was, I thought, no, losing my breath over this because this was so inflexible in me. I had to figure a way to keep my word. Do I believe that the world falls apart if I don't keep my word? Of course not. People are fine. But I had my criteria for myself, and I was going to keep it, no matter what. And I thought, so in embarrassment and shame, I started calling people. I said, I can't come. I can't pick you up. I can't go. And I kept apologizing. And one person, Addie it was, I don't know if Addie's here or not. Oh, there, Addie was, she says, why are you apologizing? She says, you can't help it. And I thought about that, and I thought, but I still didn't meet my criteria. So anyway, everyone was very supportive. And then I had to call Roseanne and tell her I couldn't help. Felt awful, again, embarrassed. Then, of course, calling Reverend Terry and saying I couldn't do it. And for 2 days, I beat myself up. How dare I let myself down? I had this standard, this is my value, it's a core strength. How could I possibly let people down? Talk about self-deception. Anyhow, the 3rd day I woke up and I started to get that knot in the pit of my stomach again. And all of a sudden I realized, perhaps I should apply to this what I've been learning all along in unity. And then I thought, no, this is a core value. I can't change that. No way, can't do that. And then the more I thought about it, but the word is surrendering, Carol. The word is surrendering. So I thought, okay, I've already read Whitsett's chapter on strength, the power of divine strength. And so I decided I'll go back to that. I'll start there. And in that, as I opened the chapter to that first page, it began with a verse that I really didn't pay any attention to at first, This time it caught my eye, and it is Isaiah 30:15, and the last half of that verse says, "In quietness and in trust shall be your strength." And then I realized I was counting on my own ego, my own pride, my own criteria for myself, and to realize I had taken that something, a positive thing of keeping my word, and had turned it into my source of drama for myself and suffering for myself. And I finally realized and went through the meditation of letting go, and what I felt was I had surrendered to freedom, a core value. And I thought, if I can do this with my core values that's been all my life, I can do it with anything. This is just the beginning. So I'm so thankful that I knew these practices, and lo and behold, I decided maybe I could love myself even, be flexible, and not beat myself up. Because I knew unity teachings was, goes right back to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And I never accepted that. You're not supposed to love yourself. That was my thinking. That's selfish. And again, unity practices and teachings have taught me much differently. That no, we are, if I quote the Bible, it says, we are the temple of the living God, is what it says. And that we are to honor and see sacred as that temple. So I thought, well, who am I to argue with these promises and these strengths? I think I can let that go too. See, I'm not young, you guys. When I say I've had 6 decades, that's after I turned 18. So I'm not young. I have been set in a lot of my ways. Anyway, one of the things that I remember Reverend Terry saying is, are you teachable? Are you flexible? Are you willing to look at what you believe and put it out and surrender it to our higher being? And I am so thankful that day when I made this self-created foundation that cracked wide open, because sometimes you know how you can just give someone a nudge and they get it. For me, sometimes it's a 2x4 to get it. Cracked wide open, and in those huge cracks, I finally saw the light of truth. And that what I was doing, and again, surrendering to freedom. I am so thankful for unity practices and teachings. This is just the beginning for me. It's just been since last August. And I feel blessed again, like I said, to be here. And I'm so thankful that I am learning these practices, that I can let go, surrender all my preconceived notions, my assumptions, my expectations, and my feelings to live a higher life, and to live that life in Christ consciousness, where I live and move and have my being. Thank you.